Hello? Hello? What's your name? What's your name? Amy. And where do you live, Amy?
Found Hope.
Found Hope. And who are you in town with?
Charlie.
Who?
Charlie.
Charlie. And who's Charlie? Is that your mum or dad?
Friend.
Friend. And where was Charlie?
In Found Hope.
In Found Hope. And where have you just come from? Have you just come from a shop? Are you in town shopping? Are you? Do you know what shop you've just come from? Which shop was that?
Toy shop.
Toy shop.
Necklace Granny.
Oh, right. Have you seen my radio? Have you seen this? I can talk to people on this. And what I'm going to do is just let the shops know that you're in town, all right? Your name is Imi. Control from Echo Alpha 03.
Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah, Control, we have a... Imi. Control, we have a little girl that appears to be missing in town. She says her name is Imi. She's possibly in town shopping. And at the moment, we're in Commercial Street by the black and white house. If you get any reports of any missing children, she's with me at the moment, and she's about 2-3 years of age. She's got a pinky top and purple trousers, and she says her name is Imi. Received.
Received that, understood. Thank you. Keep your eyes open for any parents missing a child. Thank you.
Yeah, received, thanks. Imi, should we go and have a walk and see if we can find Charlie? Shall we? Yeah? Do you want to walk or do you want me to carry you? You're going to walk? Come on, could you think you can show me which shop you've come from? Would you? Come on in, we'll give it a show, shall we? Come on in.
Has anybody seen my daughter? Where's my daughter? Amy, where are you?
All right. Can you see Daddy?
Hello, Amy.
Can you see Daddy?
Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Where was she?
Oh, she's wandering in the streets.
Oh,
Are you Dad?
Thank you
Your
very
dad.
much.
That's fine. That's okay. Is she all right? Can I just... And your name is? Guy.
Best.
Mr. Best.
Thank you very much.
All right, Imi.
Oh,
There we are. There's Dad.
Oh, well done.
I think that'll take you somewhere nice now, is it?
Well done.
Yes?
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
Hello everyone and welcome to our final session today, which is a series of parenting workshops on keeping our children and young people safe in the community. So my name is Dawn Henry. I am an early help coordinator. My colleague here, Gazala.
Hi everyone, I'm Gazella Fard. I'm Best Start in Life Early Help Senior Practitioner. So I work with a lot of our children's centres and I work within Dawn's team in Early Help.
Lovely. So we started off with a video. I'm sorry that some of you couldn't hear. Can you just give me an idea in the chat if you were able to hear that video? Or is it just a couple of people had difficulties? Were you able to hear? Yeah, some people are able to and some can't. I'm sorry about that. What we will do is send you the link so you can view it in your own time, and hopefully the sound will be much better. But I thought we start on that video because it's something that we can all relate to as parents. And that is the seeing or when you have an opportunity where a child might be lost. And I know I've came close to it a couple of times with my own children, especially in the supermarket where you're distracted, you're trying to get the shopping in, you're trying to decide what you want, and you're having to keep an eye on not just one child, sometimes maybe several children. So we could all relate to that situation. So I thought it'd be a nice one to start off with. But the idea for today's session is to look about how we can keep our children, young people safe from naught right up, and some of the kind of things that we need to be aware of so that we can keep them and protect them, whilst also helping them to enjoy their life and keep safe. So if we go to the next page, please. So the key messages for all of you is that children are best able to overcome the challenges of growing up when they have a good understanding of the positive aspects, as well as knowing how to navigate challenges that they may encounter as they journey through childhood. And we all know that children and young people can at times feel unsafe and need to be empowered with information and awareness about situations where there might be potentials. These risks could be online, in the community, or when choosing the right peer group. So we're going to look at some of those things today.
So we know that you want the best for your children and, you know, your young people at home. I just remembered that we had a poll as well. And I thought before we go into this information, let's start off with a poll. So Natalie can get us started just so we can get an idea of who's in the room today. That would be really good for us to know. So first question is, who is in the room? We've got the options of a child, a young person, dad, mum, a foster carer, or a professional. So if you can go in your window and just click on which one applies to you.
I'm glad I can see there's a young person here. We usually have a couple of young people joining us, which is great. So welcome. Keep going.
I can't see the polls moving.
I think 33 people so far has voted. If you carry on, if you could all see the poll, just keep on so we get an idea.
Got quite a lot of mums at the moment, dads, child, young person, got foster care and professionals. If there's a few more. Mix. Okay, right. So got a lot of mums. Almost 60% mums. We've got about 20% dads. One young person, one child, one foster care. We've got 5 professionals in the room. So next question. Have you attended one of these workshops before? So we've been running it since, I believe, about February, end of January. So they've been around for a while. Right, so we've got 19 responses. No is the top one at the moment. All right, any other responses? So 79% of you haven't attended these sessions. So that would be really helpful for us to understand how you found out about this session. So if you can just drop some comments in the chat, that would be really helpful, just so we know. We've been running these for a while, so we want to know how you found out about these sessions. Next question, please. Right, so we know that things have been difficult over the past months, and you know, children have gone to school recently now. So how are you feeling at the moment? Are you great? Are you okay? Are you a bit anxious? Are you a bit stressed, sad, or angry? Yeah, 30 of you, 40, yeah, 36. Any other responses? 38. So most of you seem okay. Yeah, we've got some grades. We've got 1 or 2 people who are feeling anxious and stressed. But we're hoping that some of the information we give you today will just help with some of that those feelings, you know, feeling anxious and stressed. We're hoping that some of these stuff will make you guys feel a bit more empowered and feel a bit more supported. Next question. Right, so how confident are you at keeping your children safe in the community? Got 2, 3 responses so far. 4, 5. Ooh, there we go.
Oh, it's moving a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
This
The
is an
more
interesting
responses
one.
we get, the better.
Keep going.
34, 36 responses. Any other responses? Right, so we've got very confident and quite confident are a bit close together, but we've got some parents who are unsure or not very confident. So we're hoping that this information that we're going to give you today will give you guys an idea of, you know, how to keep your children and young people safe in the community. And also for the, you know, the young person that's on the call or the child as well, to just give you guys an understanding of how you can feel safe in the community. So the next question is, what age is your child or children? For young people in the room, how old are you? Right. So we've got 5 to 10 and 10 to 15 keep teasing me. So they just keep on going up and down. Got 32 responses. A few more, 35, 36. Great. Ooh, 37. Right, so we have quite a lot of children between the ages of 5 and 10. We've got some parents between 0 and 5. And we've got young people from 10 to 18 years. Thank you so much. Next question, please. Right, the next question is how your child is at school. Do you agree with this statement? My child is generally happy at school.
Oh, this is really positive.
Yeah. 34. We've got 2 no's so far.
Keep going.
Yeah, a few more replies.
Oh, this is really pleasing.
Yeah, it's really good to hear that children are happy in school, especially if they've gone back to school at the moment with all of these difficulties that have been happening over the past months. For the parents that replied no, if you have any comments or things that you think we should hear, there is a QA, question and answer section, which will be possibly a bit more private than writing in the chat. So if there's anything you want us to hear about, please write it in the Q&A section of Zoom. Second question is, I have no concerns about my child's safety at the moment. Right, so we've got a lot of no's, we've got some yeses. Got 26 responses so far. Any more responses? How do you feel about your child's safety at the moment? Or the young person in the room, how safe do you feel? 34, 35, 36, 37 responses. 38. Thank you for that. So we've got quite 60% don't have any concerns, but we actually have quite a significant 40% of you that also have concerns about your children's safety at the moment. We're hoping some of the things that we're going to talk about can help with that. Right, next question. My child feels safe to walk to and from their school.
Particularly thinking about the older age range, those that are going to secondary school.
And for the young person in the room as well, how safe do you feel if you walk to school and from school? 30 response, 32, few more responses.
Okay.
Right, so quite a lot of you feel safe, you know, doesn't seem to there to be any worries, but we still have 22% of you that don't feel safe. Next question. Right. So my child has a positive friendship group. You got yes, no, I don't know, or some of them are positive, but not all of them, perhaps.
This is an interesting one.
Yeah. 23, 25 responses, some more. $34. Any other responses? Oh, wow. Oh, that's great. 41 responses. Great. So we have at least half of you feel like your child has a positive friendship group, but we also have about 20% that don't know, but also 20% of you think some of the friendships your child has in school is positive, but we also have a couple of one no.
So friendship groups is an area for
Yeah.
discussion. Okay, is that the last part? There's another one.
That's the last one.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, everyone, for sharing that information with us. The more you test, the more we can tailor the support to you. But thank you so much for sharing that information. And there'll be opportunity. If you have any questions as we go along, please put them in the chat and we'll try and answer them. Okay, so as we're going back to the slides, as parents and carers, we want our children to enjoy life, to maximize the opportunities that are available to them, and to stay safe while they're doing this. So one of the things that we say, which I'm sure you all do, is to encourage your child to talk to you about everything about their life, the positives, the negatives. And the way you do that is to just be there, just listen with no judgment, to allow them to feel that they could trust you and to keep on building the positive relationship that you're having. Sharing with your children the things that you might be worried about as well also helps them to then feel that they can share their worries with you and continue to build that trusting relationship. Next slide, please. So I thought let's start with when you're out and about, going on from the video that we just saw when the child got lost. How can we support our children, especially the younger ones, when we're walking around doing our shopping out on the streets? What can we do? So one of the things that I've done with my children, I thought it was really important that they knew their number. They knew my number, they knew their father's number and the home number. Now, why would I want them to know that number when a lot of us in this day and age have a mobile phone? As you know, and it does happen, the time that you really need your mobile phone, that's the time you don't have any, it needs charging. Usually in the emergency, you really need to use your phone, and therefore everything is on your mobile phone. And so it's important that your children learn those key numbers so that if they're in a situation where they need to contact you, they could use somebody else's phone or give that information to a trusted professional or person. So really try and help your children to learn the basics in terms of their mobile phone or home number so they can contact you if they need to. Try to keep your children within your sight or another adults whom you trust. Identify people, speak to your child about people in the community that they can go to if they get lost. So I was thinking about my own children when they were much younger. I used to say to them, I used to point out like the supermarket security guard, the police officer, or the cashiers and say, those are people that you can go to if you get lost, and they'll use the tannoy and make an announcement to find me. Or I used to say to them, this is our meeting point. Do not leave the store. Whatever you do not leave the store. I will find you. But as soon as you leave the store, it makes it much harder because you're out in the wide world. So those are the kind of things I would say to my child so they will understand what they could do if they were to get lost. Encourage them to stay put, although it's hard to do, and not to wander out of the store. Use reins. I know I haven't seen that much actually, but when you have your toddlers who want to walk now, no longer want to stay in the pushchair. Gazala, can you relate?
Oh yeah, I always have the story that I'm trying to teach my toddler to stay next to me. So whenever I have free time, I'll take him out for a walk, just down the road close to us, and just get him to learn to hold my hand. and not to pull the car doors and want to go in different places. So we've been practicing that a bit. So yeah, I am nodding.
I mean, the thing that we're trying to say, we all get in that situation. It is difficult, so we all relate to it. But we're just trying to give you some useful tips that's helped us along the way. So really, just teach them, guide them. Say, hold my hand, and we can explore, and just explain to them the reason why. So when out and about visiting places, always arrange a meeting point, as I mentioned. Make sure you all travel together if you're on the train in the same carriage. The other thing I was thinking about was the bus. So when you have the older children, I would say, a lot of them like to sit at the back of the bus at the top. And you don't want to prevent them from doing that, but actually asking them to sit at the front of the bus is much better, or even on the ground floor of the bus. So it's looking at those safety measures that they can take. Always go with your child to public toilets because it's used by the general public, so it's quite good if you go in with them. And also talk about the practicalities of talking to strangers, not talking to strangers, something that we used to focus a lot about a couple of years ago, and it seems to have gone down a bit. But those practical things about not sharing your name, your details with strangers, unless it is a person that they could trust, like a police officer or security guard. Next slide, please.
Right.
So now we're looking at teenagers. Over to you.
So so we're going to go a couple of ages above, our children. So we're going to think about keeping teenagers safe whilst they're out and about. I think it's important to stay alert and keep personal stereos, MP3 players turned off. Got lost it there, so they can hear what's going on. An example is, for example, I go running, and there's for a specific reason I never put headphones, and that's because when I put headphones, I can never hear what's happening around me, and you never know. So it's really important that when you're out and about, make sure you still have an idea of your surroundings. Stick to busy, well-lit roads again, and avoid shortcuts through alleyways. Dark places, might not always know who is there. Somebody might be around. Just make sure that you're somewhere that, touch wood, something happens, you can easily approach someone or someone can see you. If your child thinks someone is following them, they should cross the road or go to a place with lots of other people, like a bus stop or a shop, just to make themselves visible. Your child could carry a whistle or an alarm around their neck, or a keychain to warn of suspicious strangers. When traveling by the bus, your child should use bus stops on busy roads and sit on the lower deck. So if someone tries to take something for your child, tell them to never fight it. Sadly, we always give that advice, but I think sometimes young children can forget that. If somebody is trying to fight with you over something, it's better to just let it go rather than try and fight back. Tell them to keep their mobile phones and other valuables out of sight, and turn off their mobile phone ringer to avoid attracting attention. Don't let your child carry weapons because they're more likely to be used against them, and it is also illegal. And encourage your child to speak up if they're being bullied or they feel that they're in danger.
So now I'm going to pass you over to my colleague, Damien Carey. Damien?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Damien. I'm a senior youth justice officer at Newham Family Service, and I'm the service lead for criminal exploitation. So what is child exploitation? Essentially, child exploitation is where children are pressured into or manipulated or coerced into committing crimes. And the crimes are not directly for their own benefit, but often for the benefit of organised criminal group or gang. Next slide, please. Some of the signs in terms of children being at risk are missing episodes, skipping school, staying out late and overnight, and unexplained new gifts or possessions. So often at the yachts, we call those things lifestyle cues. So sometimes there may be things that don't sit within the kind of financial capacity of the young person or your child, in terms of what they get in pocket money or an income and what they're actually doing. So, if you know they've got enough money to buy McDonald's, but they've been somewhere else and it looks like they're spending more money, those kind of things in terms of being a little more financially able. Hopefully you can hear me a bit better. Also, in terms of friendship and relationships with older peers and adults, those can be a concern, and not just the friendships, it's the dynamic within the friendship as well. Whether it is, whether you get the impression that they are. Oh, let me try the headphones again.
So you can hear like water. It sounds like water.
Okay. I'm not sure what's happening today. And secretive behaviour as well. And some of the other things we've noticed is in terms of missing episodes and skipping school, it's not just around missing episodes just in terms of overnight missing. It's missing episodes in terms of days, weeks, and even months. So those can be a concern just as much as missing episodes during the school day. In terms of types of exploitation, some of the big concerns that lots of people have heard of and are aware of are county lines. But it's not just county lines, it's essentially, it can be any offences. And in Newham, in terms of the pattern of offending, one of the things that we've noticed is young people being used in residential burglaries in order to steal vehicle keys and steal vehicles. So it's a complex picture that's not just summed up by county lines that we're all really aware of. Also, another trigger sign is the use of taxi apps. So there's lots of young people, there are concerns about moving around the borough, and they'll use taxis, but often it links back to those issues around lifestyle things, whether that's within their financial capacity. And another big thing to be aware of is food delivery. So I know during lockdown, a lot of people have probably used Uber a bit more often than they might have, and Just Eat and the like. And it's the same for young people. A lot of them are using food delivery apps. But one of the things that's come out of some recent intelligence work is that exploiters are using food apps in order to gain the addresses and personal information of young people that they're grooming. So young people are receiving those deliveries, but essentially with that comes the issue of people having lots of personal information about me following on from that. I'm really sorry about the sound.
Damien, we're getting a lot of comments that I don't think the parents can hear at the moment.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. That seems to, even without the headphones, it seems to be not.
Do you want me to help out at all?
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, no worries. Right, where did you stop? Which point were you at?
I was about halfway down, just kind of skimming through. That's why I was coming up to social media.
Right. The noise is gone. The sound was gone for a second. I thought, okay, right. So I'm gonna help out a bit. So some of the signs to look for when you're worried about exploitation. So some the things that Damien's mentioned is, children that are skipping school, staying out late, or staying somewhere overnight. When your child receives unexplained gifts, or they seem to have something that you've never seen before. The use of drugs or alcohol, being secretive. You might notice that your child, there was a time that you had a really chatty relationship, you talk about a lot of things, but suddenly things are beginning to change. So we got also inappropriate or sexualized behaviors by a young person or a child. Looking at friendships or relationships with older adults, which can also relate to, sometimes unexplained gifts and new possessions. Other things are around, significant changes in mood or behavior changes, and changes in appearance, such as the way they dress, how they look after themselves, hygiene, and things like that. Children can become withdrawn or isolated. It can affect their mental health. Some may begin to self-harm. So some of the signs that possibly you can look for is, if your child's the way they present has changed. They might, again, we go back to something I said a few moments ago, they might be very open with you. They might sometimes be playful, but you suddenly notice changes in their behaviors. They spend lots of time on social media, talking to friends they haven't met, and that they don't know. You can also have unexplained injuries. So if you notice your child with, certain kind of injuries that, they try and explain it to you, but it doesn't really make sense. And the other thing about exploitation is when they own a second phone from which they're receiving a high volume of calls, or they need to leave urgently after a text or a phone call, or if they're also, or a bit secretive in these ways. Next slide, please. So Damien's put some information in the chat for us as well. So if your child receives food deliveries, it is something to be aware of, as exploiters have been using the apps to offer free food, but in doing so they obtain addresses and details for the child to use it to aid their grooming and exploitation. Right, so next slide, we're thinking about circumstances that might make a child or young person be at risk. So regularly going missing from home. So you got connected to other vulnerable young people known to be exploited and or involved in gangs. So your child may have a friend who, may have a history of such things. Some things that can potentially cause the risk is around, a child that may have a learning difficulty or a special educational need, misusing drugs and alcohol, poor mental health and well-being. If a child has experienced abuse at home, including witnessing domestic violence at home, and concerns around being involved in crime or antisocial behavior as well. Right, so we've got a video now.
Yeah, just before we start the video, Natalie, I just wanted to give a warning in that this video contains things that participants might find distressing. So we're going to hear from a number of parents whose child have been affected by being involved in counting lines, running drugs around the country. So they're talking about their experiences. So we're going to take a moment just to listen. Thank you, Natalie.
On him. I'd quite often find knives in his bedroom, screwdrivers or anything. They said it was for protection.
I don't know what words to use to describe how bad it was. It was horrible. It was horrible.
It kills you. It's absolutely heartbreaking, isn't it?
It's just, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
Because they're violating my child. And I actually want to go and rip their face off, but...
These are the tormented words of parents whose children have been groomed to sell drugs by the same organised crime group. Tonight, they tell us what they've seen.
Well, basically, we believe he got groomed from the age of 15 by an older, well, I'll say a boy, a man, really, wasn't he? He was 20. Entice them around the house with Xboxes, games, and then basically they get them to start running drugs for them.
At first, I was in denial that I didn't want to believe that he was doing it. And then I saw the signs. He would have a little phone, a bike. He would get a phone call, nip out the house. It was scary times.
The emotional toll for these once normal families is plain to see.
Every night I was wondering if he was going to come home, if I was going to have to report him missing. If he was at home, I'd be hiding his trainers. It's all you think about as soon as you wake up in the morning. All night, that's all you think about.
Violence controls them and debt too. Drug dealers rob their own runners. They say paying off that debt forces kids to carry on.
They get them to go and deliver packages. When they're going to deliver packages, they then get them robbed by their own people. So then they're in debt to them straight away. We've actually seen one of our sons thrown into the back of a car and drove off at speed. You know, when he comes back in the house and then describes to you, if I don't pay, I'm going to be hurt, you're like, what do you do?
Things got so bad for Joe's family, the police fitted panic alarms.
Our house was raided and quite a lot of drugs were found. And they were worried about the repercussions of that to our family. I've got 2 other children, 2 young daughters, so they had to be taught how to use them.
Stephen Carey's son was found hundreds of miles away in Wales, along with a 40-year-old man.
You want to look after your children the best you can. You want to be there for them. I've tried to talk to them, but when they're involved in this, it's sort of like a shield up. You lose a bit of them.
How are your other children coping?
They're not.
The parents worry about what their children have witnessed.
Somebody had been fatally stabbed. They witnessed it, and there's no support for the kids. Could you imagine in your lifetime seeing something so horrific? And they're just walking around, and, some people would say most likely got PTSD from it.
They have fears about post-traumatic stress, but do they ever question their role in this?
Have you had to ask yourself if you are a great parent?
No, because I am. And I'm always saying that. Yeah, I know I am. There's no doubt of that.
The parents say the organised criminals they believe exploited their children have been arrested. Some of their kids have got out. But with the continuing growth of county lines, this is all still a reality for thousands around the country. Allegra Stratton, News at 10.
He would have weapons on him.
So, thanks, Natalie. I was just going to say, if any of you has been affected by that video, please reach out. Don't keep this. If you're going through this situation right now, I urge you to make contact with us. So Natalie's going to put the email address that you could send us an email, just giving us an idea of what's going on, and we will provide the support to you and identify where you need to go next. But please do not keep it to yourself. Please talk to somebody. So we're going to continue with the next slide, which is the ways that we can potentially reduce the risk of them getting involved in county lines or any kind of exploitation. So as I said earlier, make sure that your child knows that they can talk to you. Ask them how you can help and be ready to help them to find other sources of support. I would like to just echo that you must find support for yourself as well, because as parents, you need somebody that you can talk to, that can walk and understand what you're going through, so you're not alone, because it can be difficult to manage these things. So for you to be there for your children, you need support as well. Encourage your child to get involved in constructive activities. So try and find out what's available in your local community. We have a lot of information that we can send to you about the activities that are going on. the youth zones, things that are going on in the holidays that your child may be interested in getting involved. Just divert them, ask them what they're interested in, and see and follow that line of inquiry to see if you can find something that they may want to get involved with. Ensure that your child has healthy, supportive friendships. So we asked the question earlier on about the friendship groups, and some of you, majority of you said that you have good friends, you like the company that they keep, but there was some of you I noticed that said that some you're not too sure about. So have a conversation with your child about their friends, get to know their names, a bit about their families, talk to them yourself so that you feel secure about who they're speaking to and who they're hanging around with. Ensure that your child attends school regularly, because when they're in school, they're off the streets and they're learning something and they're having positive experiences. So support your child to attend school. And if there is any issues around attending school, work with the school to find a solution. Having a positive relationship with a trusted adult who can help if they feel unsafe. So identify someone, ask if your child is at school, and sometimes they may not get on with the teacher. It does happen. Ask the school and ask your child, is there anyone in that school that they feel happy to talk to? And they can sometimes come back and say, oh, there's a learning mentor or a teaching assistant or pastoral support lead who I'm happy to talk to. Talk to the school and say, can my child have opportunity or time and space to talk to that person? Help your child to know how to keep safe in the community online. And I just wanted to commend all of you here today. They've taken the time out of your busy schedule to attend and find out more. That is a true testament to show that you really, really care about your children. As I said before, there are many services and positive activities that children and young people can access in Newham, and we're happy to share that with you. Next slide.
Right, so we have a few links for activities for young people. Just things that you can look at. Easter holidays are coming by really quickly, considering our kids have just gone back to school. But have a look at these links. You can get a copy of these slides, but some of the links we've shared with you is Newham Youth Map. So that's www.newhamyouthmap.co.uk. We have our team at Head Start doing creative arts and sports. If you actually just Google Head Start Newham, it will take you to our Head Start page. And there's a lot of, information there for parents, for young people, and you can also look at their activities page. Next is around Newham Youth Empowerment. Thank you. Newham Youth Empowerment. So have a look at that page, but our Newham Family Information Service has also a lot of different information. Before we go on, I noticed Damien wrote something in the chat, and it was actually that young people, the feedback from young people says that some of the things that have influenced them to become involved in being in criminal exploitation was actually things such as support. They wanted support. They joined, they got involved in it around, financial gain. It made them feel like they had a sense of worth, desire to be connected with other people or groups. It was glamorous. There was peer pressure, reputation. It was a bit exciting, seemed like at the start. It was also forced. They joined because of protection, because of a sense of belonging, and also their friends were doing it, so they decided to do it as well. I just thought I'll add that as Damien had put it in the chat. Next slide, please. Right, so there is more support for you as parents and carers. Raising children and young people is hard work and not easy, especially when we try and do it alone. Also, the world changes constantly. I know I can't always keep up. So it is hard work, but it's also, a very rewarding piece of work that we do in our lifetime as well. So it's important that for parents and carers to have a support network of their own. One thing I always tell to parents when I've worked with them is if mommy or daddy or grandma or carer, anyone, if you're not well, child can feel it. We can't give our best if we're not well and if we're not feeling well. I know we try, but we need to look after ourselves as well. And that's really, really important. So some of the things, make time for self-care. We focus about self-care on our first session, if you want to have a look at that on YouTube. But, do something that makes you feel happy, that relieves your brain a bit from all the things that are going on. Learn about needs behind ours and our children's behavior. I work in a children's center, and to be honest, I've had to sometimes reach out to my colleagues and friends and ask for advice. So there is no shame in sometimes saying, you know what, I'm really confused. I'm not sure what's going on, and reaching out and just saying, can someone help me figure things out? If you don't think like you're getting there yourself. Understand more about what it is like to be a young person in Newham. We have on Head Start, there's a lot of parent groups as well that you can, touch base with other parents around, what they're experiencing, what their children are experiencing. Develop practice and listening skills. Listening skills is very hard. As a mum and as a person, I always like to go in there and fix it. I don't always give there a bit of space to just listen. I'm trying, I'm learning every day. And, one thing that we advise, develop and practice just listening sometimes. Learn from other parents and their experiences. Sorry, I have a toddler in the background moving a little bus. Practice tried and tested strategies. You got negotiation, you got boundaries, household rules, and ownership of problems as well. So those are some of the things that, just as a start for you to guys have a think about. The Head Start peer parenting team can help you build your support network. So come along to some of the Wednesday coffee and chat sessions. They do at 10 a.m. or 6 p.m. There are dates, and to book a place, please visit the Head Start website. So that is www.headstartnewham.co.uk/activities/peer parenting course, or just Google Head Start peer parenting course. Again, don't forget, we can give you a copy of these slides so you can access those links. Next slide, please. Right, so Head Start also has the peer parenting course, which is actually delivered by parents for parents, parents that have lived through certain things, that, like we said earlier on, touch base with people who are going through similar things. We all learn differently, we all experience things differently, and we all have some helpful tips for each other to support each other. So this course helps parents learn practical communication skills for everyday life and bring up confident, happy, and cooperative children. So I've got some course details here. So all groups will run for 9 weeks with a week break during half term. So we've got Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Thursdays. You can sign up to this if you follow the link that we have here. We can try and even copy the link in the chat if that's possible at all. But again, if you want a copy of these slides, you can ask for them at Strengthening Families. We'll put the email address in the chat. So please, 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 it's nice to connect with other parents. So if you feel like you would like a peer parenting course, then please join the team. Next slide, please. Right, where to get support if you continue to remain concerned, or if what we've discussed today is making you feel concerned. So we have put the NSPCC website here around keeping children safe. NSPCC have really great tips around, how to have conversations with your child. At different ages, conversation can be easier, and then at some point, conversation could be a lot more difficult. So it gives you some good tips around how to communicate with your children. And then we've got support for young people. So we have Childline. So that's www.childline.org.uk. And there's also a telephone number you can call. Childline provides information, advice, and a listening ear both over the phone and online for children and young people. We also have U&Co Victim Support, which is support for children and young people who have experienced crime. Support is also available for their parents. To access this, there's a telephone number on this slide, and there's also a website you can visit. That's www.victimsupport.org.uk/help and support. Next slide, please. Right, we know that these pages aren't very clear, so we do have some useful information around Newham information around keeping your children safe. I think Natalie's gonna pull up the actual page so that you guys can see it clearer.
Because these are really nice leaflets that you can give to your child. Because I truly believe in educating your children about the dangers out there, and so that they're aware of it. It's when they don't know, and that's when they could be susceptible. So it's actually helping you to give them the ideas of the signs and the indicators from their perspective as well to look out for. They're really nice leaflets. They're very colourful. This is the young person's one. So as you can see, it just says, is someone buying you gifts to think about? Yeah. Being asked or forced to do things that you're not comfortable with. Can't say no because you feel like you owe them, or being threatened. So all those kind of things help them to think about, is that happening right now? And also consider about them when they're online. We did do a session about online safety. So not just in the community, but when they're talking to people online, do you know who they're talking to? Do you know what games they're playing? Just take an interest in what they're doing. Sometimes I'm having, even though I'm not really one for video games, I've got to admit, but sometimes I have to, just to get an idea of what my son is doing when he's playing, and just to make sure he's safe and who he's talking to. So I have to bear it, but these are the things you've got to do. So yeah, we can send all of these leaflets to you if you send an email to strengthening.families@newham.gov.uk, and we'll send anything else that's in our possession to help you. Thanks, Natalie.
Great, I think that brings us to the end of our session, doesn't it?
Yes, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone. This is how many sessions have we done? Is it 8? I keep thinking it's 10. It's between 8 to...
I think no, it's more than 8. Yeah, I think it's about 10.
Natalie?
I think it might be 8 or 9.
8.
Oh, it seems like 10, but in a good way.
Between 8 and 10.
But we ran these sessions, one, to support you during the pandemic, because obviously we know that children and young people have been suffering with their mental health, but also we wanted to get the information out there because we're aware that you may not know where to find this information. So I wanted to say thank you to all of you for attending today. And also, if you do, I have to emphasize, if you do need to talk to someone about anything, for those of you that mentioned in the poll that you're not happy, stressed, anxious, please reach out to us, send us an email, and we will get back to you and let you know how to get the support you need. But carry on doing a fabulous job, which I know you're all doing. And if you could, because it's the last session, it'll be really helpful, because we've done a series of different sessions, one on online, keeping children safe in the community, supporting young people, supporting children with additional needs. If you wanted us to do a specific workshop in the future, please let us know what you'd like us to do on, and we will try and cater to your needs. So again, thank you to all the speakers today. Thank you to everyone that's attended, and enjoy the rest of your day. But please let us know what you want. Also, before you go, when you log off, the feedback form will pop up. If you could spend a couple of minutes filling that in, that will also help us. So thanks again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much.
Lovely to have you. Take care. Look after
Thank
yourselves.
you.